in this video, we're going to review how to subtract fractions with like denominators. We're going to start out pretty easy, and then we're going to move into mixed numbers, and finally ones where we're going to have to regroup and rename. So let's start with the easy one. 4/5 minus 3/5. Remember, each time you subtract with a fraction, you're just going to subtract all the way across the numerator, but leave the denominator the same. So you're going to keep your denominator exactly the same. It stays as a 5, because if you subtracted them, you'd get 0, and you can't have a fraction with a denominator of 0. So we leave the denominator and subtract the numerator. So 4 minus 3 is 1. So we know that 4/5 minus 3/5 is 1/5. Let's move on to the next problem. For this one, we're jumping into mixed numbers, but keeping those like denominators. So again, we start with our fraction. Even when you have a mixed number, you always start with the fraction. 3/5 minus 3/5. That should make you stop and think for a minute. Because if I take 3 minus 3, that's 0 over 5, which is nothing. So I know that in actuality, 3/5 minus 3/5 gives me 0. They're just gone. So all we need to do is subtract our whole numbers. 7 minus 6 is 1. So 7 3/5 minus 6 3/5 is 1. Let's keep going. A little more challenging with this one. Again, even when there's a mixed number, you always start with the fraction. 7/10 minus 4/10. You're going to keep your denominator the same, and just subtract the numerator. 7 minus 4 is 3. And then you have 8, but there's no whole number here. So it's 8 minus 0 is 8. So 8 7/10 minus 4/10 gives you 8 3/10. Let's jump into one a little bit more challenging. 1 minus 3/8. We start with our fraction, but there is no fraction. Remember that 1 always equals a fraction where the numerator and denominator are the exact same number. Because let's say I have a pizza divided into 4 parts, so the denominator is 4. If I shade all 4 parts in, if I ate all 4 parts, I would have 4 over 4, or 1 whole. So 1 would also equal 8 over 8. And I picked 8 because the denominator in the number that I'm subtracting it by is 8. So I want to make it easier on myself and just give myself the same denominator. So I've got 8/8 minus 3/8. So I know that my denominator is going to be 8, and I'm just going to subtract the numerators. 8 minus 3 is 5. So my answer of 1 minus 3/8, we turned it into 8/8 minus 3/8 equals 5/8. I think we've got one more. And this is where it's going to challenge you. 4 1/6 minus 2 5/6. Like always, we start with the fraction. 1/6 minus 5/6. But wait, you can't say 1 minus 5. If I have one finger, I can't take away 5. So we're going to have to borrow from our 4. So just like you would borrow from a tens place, you're going to borrow 1 from the 4, turn the 4 into a 3. When we pull that 1 out of the 4, it becomes 6 over 6. And remember, I'm picking 6 as my denominator because that'll make life easier. If I pulled it out and made it 4 over 4, then I have unlike denominators. It would be a mess. So I'm pulling 6/6 out of it so that I have the same denominator. So instead of it being 4 1/6, it's 3 6/6 1/6. So let's simplify that. I'm going to add my 6 plus 1 and make it 7. I want to remember that when you're borrowing, you're adding to the numerator whatever the denominator is, because you're borrowing one whole number. So instead of having 4 1/6, I now have 3 7/6. Let's do that again. Let's say we were going to go backwards. If I have 3 7/6, I would pull out 6 6s from my 7/6. I'd pull out 6 of them to make this a whole number. So I would end up with 4 1/6. You can go both ways. So let's go back to our subtraction. We've got 3 7/6 now, minus 2 5/6. So like always, we're going to start with the fraction. 7/6 minus 5/6 is going to get me 2/6. And then 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 2/6. I hope you understood that. Make sure to replay the video if you need to. And the next video is going to be us practicing some together.